friends, it's me, and today, Cookie. Let's check out Food Theory. Crumbl cookies has a dark secret. Evil? What? From the food theorists. Together, let's go. Let's check out.
Crumbl Cookies is the sweetest dessert chain in the country right now. Everyone from Olivia Rodrigo to Kylie Jenner is a huge fan of their giant cookies. And the thing that's got people talking about them now is their recent rebrand. It's a bold choice. Why would they change everything up at the height of their popularity? It's because they have no other choice. Crumbl Cookies is crumbling. Hello, Internet. Welcome to Food Theory.
Hello, Internet. Welcome to Food Theory.
The show that's a sweet treat every week. And speaking of sweets, if you haven't come across Crumbl cookies, oh boy, let me enlighten you. I'm gonna preface this by giving you a bit of a lore drop about me. I'm not a big sweets person. Never was.
Don't say lore drop, say lore!
Don't know why, but there are certain things that I occasionally get a hankering for, and one of those is a nice big cookie. So when I stumbled across Crumbl, I became a fan. They've got a weekly rotating menu of different cookies, plus a staple chocolate chip that has amazing dough. And they're all the size of your face. I mean, if you have a small face. Point is, they've got good stuff, and people agree because the chain has skyrocketed in popularity since they hit the scene. But if they're crushing it as much as they are, why would they feel the need to switch things up now? Everything from their name to their logo. Well, things aren't going as well as they'd like you to think. Between issues like labor violations and lawsuits, the minimalist rebrand is just a way to minimize damage. So stick around, because by the end of this episode, I'll show you why the sweet company might be about to meet its bitter end. Let's take a closer look at the company itself for a second. Crumbl Cookies started out as the dream of two cousins from Utah way back in 2017. They opened up their first store in their hometown, and at first only served their standard chocolate chip cookie. They had an eye-catching logo, a baker with a mustache, and a chef's hat that included a sneaky little cookie at the top. As someone who's constantly thinking about how to quickly draw people's attention with an image, I gotta say, their logo was a slam dunk. It even had some rage bait with a purposefully misspelled name. It fired on all cylinders. Then in 2018, they really hit their stride, introducing a weekly rotating menu of new flavors that kept things fresh for repeat customers. And with it, they brought some color to their brand. Their rectangular pink box is really what made this such a social media star. It wasn't your typical square box, that's for squares. It was fresh, it was long, it was pink, and it worked. Since they opened up in 2018, they've expanded to 1,000 locations between the US and Canada. And it's not just people snapping pics of them, their social media game is also on point. They're one of the most followed food chains on Instagram, and they've got more likes on TikTok than Taco Bell and Starbucks combined. Starbucks! They misspell names and people make a million videos about it. Just goes to show you how much of a
Food Theory become Feed Theory. Even my camera is... Oh, it's good. Yeah!
juggernaut Crumbl really is. It makes you wonder that much more why they decided to change things. The rebrand was a pretty extensive overhaul of their entire visual brand. It started in late 2023, and over the course of a couple of months, they've done away with two of their most iconic things. The logo with the baker is long gone, and so is the name Crumbl Cookies. They dropped the last part because now they've expanded to things like cakes on their menu. Full-on, personal size, from cheesecakes to strawberry shortcakes and everything in between. But obviously, the brand enhancement, as they call it, isn't just about removing things. They've added some stuff too. The font their new name is written in is brand new, as in they created a brand new font for their name. It's called Crumbl Sans. It's their way of showing us that this isn't a font, it's a statement. Their own version of, it's not just a phase, mom, it's a lifestyle. And yeah, it's a bit cringe.
But to the extreme of creating a new font? Wow. Now that is dedication to it.
But honestly, it works. Somehow it looks bold and at the same time melty like the middle of their cookies. The other invention is the updated color. They partnered with Pantone, the authority for all things color, to create Crumbl Pink. It's a bit richer and more eye-catching, especially with the Crumbl Sans name being the only other thing left on their logo. Toss in some updated app icons and social media profiles, and you've got yourself a recipe for success. At least, that's what they say. Because things have actually been pretty crummy for Crumbl. Now, even though the company has been around for about 7 years, designers, they've really only started running into trouble in the last 2. And there's 3 ingredients that have led to their cookie, well, crumbling. Look, what did you expect from an episode about a cookie place? The puns hurt me more than they hurt you, but I just can't resist. The first ingredient was them breaking child labor laws in 6 states back in 2022. Yeesh. The US Department of Labor found through an investigation that 11 different stores had violated regulations involving their younger employees, something that racked up over $50,000 in penalties. Admittedly, that's probably pennies to the company, but it's the principle here. See, when you employ teenagers younger than 18, there's a laundry list of things that you have to watch out for. For example, they can't work more than 8 hours per day or more than 40 hours per week. Plus, those hours can't be before 7 a.m. or after 7 p.m. Also, they can't operate machinery that could be deemed as dangerous. And even though working at a bakery like this might seem like a dream job for a teen looking to get some experience, the giant mixers and ovens they have to pump out their cookies can absolutely cause some serious damage. And the Department of Labor found violations for both of those cases. Now, Crumbl came out with a statement saying they were super disappointed and that this was just a small amount of stores and totally not indicative of their work culture as a whole, but employee reviews on sites like Glassdoor and Indeed and multiple scathing posts and videos on TikTok and Reddit from ex-employees beg to differ. Things like not letting employees eat on their shifts or only having a single chair for them to rest on, and long hours that went well past midnight. The penalty the company had to pay for their violations seems like a slap on the wrist considering those are just the tip of the iceberg. Clearly, working there isn't as sweet as their cookies. The second ingredient in their downfall is a slew of lawsuits that they can't seem to shake. In 2023, the first of 3 ongoing ones hit them. It claims that Crumbl's been deceptive in how they market the calories of their cookies. If you're not familiar, if you look at Crumbl's menu, they list the calories of each cookie they've got for that week under their respective descriptions. It's usually between 180 to 230 calories. Seems low, right? Especially because the cookies are massive. What is this dark magic that Crumbl has stumbled upon to make all of that deliciousness only 200 calories? Nothing, turns out. Because next to that number is a tiny little asterisk that, if you scroll down, tells you that number is per serving size, and each cookie is 4 servings. So yeah, that 180 for their chocolate chip is actually 720 for the whole thing. When people started catching on and realizing that their new favorite dessert cookie had more calories than a Big Mac, they were not amused. The suit says that Crumbl intentionally hides the calories between bigger and brighter fonts to make their cookie look healthier than it is, but more than that, they claim that not showing the calories for the whole item is actually against FDA regulations. Now, there are 2 sides to this whole thing. On the one hand, people were outraged and making videos trying to expose Crumbl for this, but on the other, there were people who called out the angry customers because that's how serving sizes work. Sometimes the sizes aren't for the entire food. I'm not coming down on either side just yet, but I am curious to know what you think. Do you agree with the outraged customers or the people calling them out? Hey, while you're doing that, the subscribe button is like right there. Cause look, if you're not
Thank you so much. Subscribe. Thank you.
subscribed, you might miss out on some of the stuff we got coming down the pipeline. I'll even sweeten the deal and say that I'll maybe try and make another cake if you, yes, you, subscribe. So, the other lawsuit that saves me from writing a segue is about a deceptive practice Crumbl has. In August of 2023, right around the time of the previous lawsuit, 2 women from California filed a class action against Crumbl for concealing service fees from customers. The reason, or so they say, is because Crumbl doesn't want to raise their prices as more and more competition pops up, so they sneak in their service fees to raise their profits and cover operational costs. Basically, when a customer goes to order their cookies, they think the cookies still cost the same, but really the price is higher by 2.95%, the amount of the fee, which Crumbl then puts in their pocket. And speaking of pockets, the other lawsuit that Crumbl's wrapped up in accuses them of sharing what's in your pocket. This final one is the most recent, having been filed earlier this year, after Crumbl's rebrand. The person suing claims that Crumbl was letting their payment processor, a company called Stripe Incorporated, track customers' movements, clicks, and keystrokes when they go onto the Cookie Giant's site. Not just that, but their IP addresses, physical location, and financial information too. That's terrifying. Imagine, you're just trying to get some late night cookies delivered, and suddenly they know your bank passwords and that you're wearing your fluffy striped PJs you only bust out on the weekends. Now, Crumbl has fought back on this one, and is attempting to get it thrown out as of last month. And there's no result to any of these as of yet, but the fact is that they just keep finding themselves in trouble, and all for reasons that would give them an edge over their increasing competition. competition. And even when it's not something like a lawsuit, they're being accused of stealing ideas from smaller stores. The final ingredient in their downfall came in April of this year. Crumbl announced that they would be incorporating mini versions of their cookies into their menus, which, by the way, do have a serving size of one entire cookie. Guess you can teach an old dog new tricks if you sue them enough. At first glance, the idea is great. Lets them sell more cookies if small groups are looking to share or something like that. But the name they used, Mini Mondays, caught the eye of Cookie Co., a company out of California, who announced back in October of 2023, a full 6 months before Crumbl, that they would be doing Mini Mondays and offering smaller versions of their cookies. The owner of Cookie Co. went to social media to speak out, but what bothered her wasn't the fact that Crumbl happened to use the same name, but that Crumbl had apparently been bullying the smaller company for some time and threatening with potential lawsuits if they didn't stop using a rotating menu or similar rectangular boxes. But what this shows is something indicative of everything else that's been going on with Crumbl. They're starting to feel the pressure of competition. From working employees around the clock to sneakily increasing their profits with shady service fees and potentially borrowing ideas from smaller companies while also allegedly bullying them into changing their menus, Crumbl seems to be doing everything they can to keep their edge at the front of the dessert race. They're still comfortably in the lead for now, but with more and more competition popping up, it's getting harder to maintain their spot as number one. Enter the brand enhancement. Them zhuzhing up their logo is a way to catch a second wind. It lets them sidestep past the cookie business that's getting saturated and expand with their cookie dough bites and cakes. Even the chief branding officer said that they were doing it to infuse new life and energy into the brand and keep them relevant. Relevance is the key word here, which is weird considering how massive the company has gotten. But like their serving sizes, there's an asterisk there now. Because while they've definitely expanded an incredible amount since they opened in 2017, last year, they've had to close stores for the first time in their history. And they've continued to quietly close locations that are underperforming even this year. Now, don't get me wrong, they're still expanding and recently opened their 1000th in Burbank, California, but they're also drastically reducing the number of stores they're aiming to open, the lowest amount since 2020. They're saying it's part of their plan, part of the whole rebrand. It's the equivalent of someone saying, "You can't fire me, I quit." Obviously, whether they did close them for underperforming or because it truly is part of their strategy is sort of a chicken or the egg thing. And we can't know which it is without knowing some super secret financial information on Crumbl's part. What financial information we do know, though, is that their revenue and profits are down. Like,
Ooh, that's bad, right?
way down. And going back to the chief branding officer's statement about keeping themselves relevant with their new color and font, their relevance does seem to have taken a hit when it comes to their wallets. In 2022, Crumbl locations reported an average revenue of $1.84 million at an average profit of about $298,000. But in 2023, those numbers dipped to $1.16 million and $123,000 respectively. I know I just threw a lot of numbers your way, but these are the numbers that matter. That's a 37% decrease in average revenue and a 59% drop in profit. I'm no
And
account.
not to mention, in 2022, it was during the COVID period, global pandemic, and 2023, COVID is, not so much of a big deal anymore. So it was after the global pandemic. My goodness. Oh, wow.
But that seems rough, and Crumbl clearly noticed the financial hit. Since last year, they also laid off dozens of workers from their headquarters. The reason? Well, they say they streamlined a lot of their processes and realigned teams in order to implement their strategic direction, the one that led straight to their rebrand. Whether it's giving a reason as to why they're drastically slowing down their expansion or why they fired a bunch of employees, the answer always circles back to the company's brand enhancement. They're battening down the hatches while they fight to stay relevant. So, there you have it. Crumbl may want you to think their rebrand is just a way of making their brand a lifestyle or a Crumbleverse, as they've
Crumbleverse.
unironically put it, but the real reason is because for the last few years, the company has taken hit after hit, whether it's lawsuits, increased competition, or decreased profits. And they need to
But look at the bright sides. If I'm just saying okay? If there's a Crumbleverse, the universe and the multiverse of Crumbl cookies,
do everything they can before they're kicked off of their sweet pink throne forever. That's just the way the cookie crumbles, I guess. But hey, that's just a theory. A food theory. Bon appetit. And hey, if you like this episode and want to see more videos about cookies, make sure to click the link on the screen now to see if double stuffed Oreos are a scam. And as always, I'll see you next week.
Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed this video. But hey, that's just a theory. A food theory. Bon appetit. And I hope to see you in my next video. Thank you so much. Subscribe. But truly, thank you all so much. Hope you enjoyed this video. And thank you for supporting my channel. Subscribe.